I was unpacking a lot of stuff and realizing within myself things that I pushed down and said was okay that weren't, and trauma, things were coming up for me. Again, I was doing a lot of therapy.
Right.
And so I started to write more for myself. And then stories that I was like, I want to tell these stories, and I have, why can't I? More as like a producer, like I want to get someone to do this. And I think I realized if I can't write, it's a disadvantage, and it would only help me to learn how to.
Right.
And for the upcoming season of Supergirl, I really wanted to tell a war vet story and go a little deeper in the Sean Astin, kind of where we started, but like really explore it.
And how do you do that? Because it sounds so daunting that, you got the show going on for so many years that you want to just jump in and write an episode, or because where does it fit? Because you got to think there's arcs and there's episodes that lead into other episodes, and they're crossing into each other. And there's like, then they have the multi-universe or whatever, the Arrowverse and all these things. So, I mean, it takes a lot of chutzpah. The chutzpah of like going in and like writing an episode, because that's, you sort of wrote a piece, right?
Yeah.
You wrote an episode?
Yeah. But again, it was my version of, it had nothing to do with the storylines on the show. I knew what was happening with my character because our showrunners really did, end of season, beginning of season, told you you're pretty much a whole arc. So we had a really good idea.
Right. Okay.
Of what was
That's
happening.
good.
But again, so I wrote this with that idea of that. Also, I was finding my voice a lot because I've always been someone that never wants to be difficult, and to a detriment of myself. And I was starting to realize that speaking up for myself didn't make me difficult. And asking for things that I want was something I had never really done. I just like, I'm just happy to be here. I don't want to. And I started realizing that if I didn't do that, that it wasn't going to go well. And anyone could call you anything, like no matter what you're doing. So you might as well like stand for yourself. And I started asking for things. And
what were you asking for?
I had called the showrunner and creator of Jane the Virgin, Jenny Erman, and I was talking through some stuff with her because I'm still very close with her. And I was like, I want to make these shows, and these are my ideas. And she loved one of them, and she was like, let's start developing it. So at the same time, we had brought in a writer that was a friend of mine from Jane, and we were doing these mini rooms. And so we were creating something based on a time in my life. While I was writing this Supergirl thing with this writing coach. So it was very serendipitous in that by the time they were like, we want you to write an episode, likely the storyline that I had written, I was like, okay, I just worked with this genius woman creating something from nothing. I think I know these characters so well. I've been on the show for a couple years now. I feel like
you pleaded this case to them. You wrote
No, this is all in my head.
It's all in your head.
My head is the wild place.
Okay.
On the outside, I was like, here's the sample. I'd love to explore this. I love writing. I've been working on it. And then they really loved it. They were like, we'll send this off. And then our other producers in the studio loved it. And then that was it pretty much.
But, yeah.
And then COVID, and then life got complicated, and COVID stretched out longer. Melissa was having a baby. And then we found out it was our final season. And so they had to scrap the storylines and start over. But because they committed to an episode, they kept their word. And
did you have to rewrite it?
Oh, I started from scratch. So I had to join the writer's room. So I had to...
Wait a minute. Yeah. So they scratched the episode that you were going to do.
They scratched the whole season.
The whole season, because it's all changed.
It's the final. They had to redo everything for the third time.
And so that had to be a little disappointing since you wrote something you were really happy with, but now you had to start from scratch. But they still were interested. I was like, this isn't going to happen anymore. It's fine. In my mind. This is their way of saying, we like you. You're so sweet, but no thanks.
And I would get, it's the final season of a show that's been on for a long time. But there was a 3 or 4 episodes that I didn't do because I joined the writers' room. I really feel like I just kept showing up, and
were they annoyed?
No, I think they were like pleasantly surprised.
You just kept showing up every day. Would you be quiet?
I did a month.
Or would you be assertive and go, I have an idea. What if this happened?
Yeah.
And they were cool with that? They're like, this fucking actor is in the room.
I would wait wait
Until everybody
until
spoke.
I would wait until there was like a stall, and then I would really think about what I was going to say, and then I would only try to offer solutions. Or with my character or Kyler's character, I felt comfortable speaking up with representation and certain things like you can't do that, or for this arc storyline, let's bring in guest stars, to make it more authentic. And things like that, and they were really well received. But I'm really close with our I've always been closer with our writers than anyone on the show.
Right.
So a lot of them were my friends.
So then you kept just pitching these story ideas?
Yeah.
And they said, we love it, write it?
Yeah, well, I was in the room for months. So we did 3 episodes, but broke the arcs for 3 episodes all together. And then as we were doing it, people were going off writing their episodes. And then we broke blind spots pretty roughly, but they gave me a lot of leeway. And then I went off and wrote it with Jay, who's the co-writer of the episode. And
I mean, were you nervous?
I think here's the thing. I do something and don't think about how hard or scary it is until I'm like,
God, I wish I was you.
85% in.
Jeez.
And then I have a panic at 85%, but I've usually committed, I have to do it. And so I'm like, I'm almost there. I've got to just buckle down. And then I push past the last bit.
And what was the most important thing when you were writing this that you were thinking of, that this is what I want to come across? This is what I want people to understand? Because I felt like it was really cool how you said something about the superheroes, that they're part of the problem, that Supergirl and all her Justice League, they were part of the problem with racial injustice and all these things. That's a difficult subject. That's hard to tackle for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you're, doing notes calls and in rooms, and this character has been built up as the hero that's the best of everyone. Right. And then you have to, it's interesting to watch how people react to those scenes when they're reading them, because people get very defensive. It's almost like it's them that is being attacked.
Right.
But
You bear down.
I did.
You just said, F it. I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, even with our fans, I find a lot of them, we were lacking empowerment of oneself. And it's like, superheroes aren't going to save the day. Like, the whole point of this is that hopefully you take some of that for yourself and empower yourself. That
we all have a superhero in us.
Yes.
We all can be superheroes.
Yes.
By being good people.
Yes. And not relying on someone to rescue you in your everyday life. This can be translated to so many things.
Wow.
And so what does it look like when you expect someone to rescue and they fail you? Like, how painful is that? How do you step up for yourself? How do you show up for yourself? So I think there were themes in it that hopefully people that watch the show that aren't like, oh, I'm not that, so I can't. It overwrote that.